Welcome back. Wisconsin lawmakers want to prevent foreign adversaries like China or Russia from targeting the Badger State. Today, state Senate Republicans introducing Safeguard Wisconsin, which includes 6 new bills aimed at security. One of those bills would ban the UW system from entering research partnerships with or accepting grants from China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and others. Another bill would make it illegal for state agencies to hire businesses owned by the Chinese government.
The cost of acting now is far less than the cost of rebuilding after an attack. Wisconsin will not be an easy target, and we are taking proactive steps to protect our communities, our economy, and our way of life.
Those bills were just circulated through the legislature today. However, similar legislation previously failed to pass during the last session.